Hey everyone, welcome to my review of the BMW M235i. This is actually a viewer's car and he's offered it to me to drive today, and I'm excited that he's done that because a lot of you have asked me to review this car and I've been very interested in it myself. This car sits in a price bracket that is very competitive amongst the German saloons. The base price of this car is $43,000 here in the US, and that puts it very, very close to a lot of its competitors, even within the BMW range. So what I'm talking about is like a 435i is $46,000, so only $3,000 more, and that $45,000 to $50,000 range encompasses a whole lot of great cars, both American, Japanese and German cars, including the S4 and the S5, the new Mercedes C400 that's so nice, and a whole bunch of others. So it really has a lot of competition, and I guess that's why you don't see that many of this car on the road. And I think the other reason you don't see that many of this car on the road is that people would think, you know, why would I buy a 2 Series when I could have a 4 Series for only $3,000 more? Well, here's the answer to that. This is an M235i. It doesn't mean it's an M car. There is an M2 coming sometime in the future. Probably next year we'll see it released, and that's going to be a phenomenal car. You know, that's going to be a small light car like this, but they're probably going to have about 400 horsepower in it. This car's got the same engine as the 3 and 435 has in it, but it develops a little more power. They've tuned the engine so that it's producing 320 horsepower and 330 foot-pounds of torque, up from the 300 you get in the standard 435 and 335. So that's one thing. You get a bit more power, you get slightly better sound. If you ask me, what I'm going to do later on is I'm going to try and stick a microphone out the back of the car, and we're going to try and capture some of the sound and some of the burble the car makes when you slow down. I really like the sound this engine's making, and I guess they must tune the exhaust a little to give it that sound. This is a smaller car, of course, and so it's a little lighter. It's actually just about 5 inches shorter, and because it's a little shorter you don't get as much rear seat space, but it's lighter, and lighter is always better in any car. So it's 100 pounds lighter than a standard 435, which is good. What else do you get? You get the M suspension, you get the M steering wheel, you get the launch control, you get the better brakes, the M brakes. So you get a lot of extras that you don't get in a standard 3 or 435, and that makes that $3,000 difference a little wider, because once you spec up the 3 or 4 Series to include as much as this car comes with standard, you're starting to look at an $8,000 or $9,000 difference, and that's when this car suddenly becomes a lot more of a value proposition. Of course, styling comes into it. I guess a lot of people would prefer the styling of a 3 or 4 Series over a 2 Series. Personally, I like the front, and I'll talk about a little bit more about this when we walk around the car, but I like the front of this car more than I like the front of the standard 3 and 4 Series. The rear, I prefer the 3 and 4 Series. I'm not so fussed on the rear of this car. And the other thing is I like the size of this car. You know, some people like a bigger car, some people like a smaller car. For me, this car feels like the old E46 series. It's a little slimmer and it's a little shorter, and so the handling is a little bit more go-kartish, and you know, I like the dimensions. I feel really comfortable in this car, so being a little smaller is a good thing as far as I'm concerned. I'd prefer the weight loss and a little bit more compact dimensions in my car, so I'd be very interested in buying this car if I was buying a car in the $45,000 bracket as opposed to the 3 or 4 Series. So yeah, so what are we going to do? I'm going to stop the car and we're going to have a look around the outside of it, have a look at some of the styling of the outside. Then we're going to take a look around the inside. I'm going to go over some of the options that Boris has put on this car. He's taken a few of the packages. What has he got? The premium package, the cold weather package, the technology package, and some of the comfort access stuff. So he's spec'd this car up a lot. He's added, he ended up paying just over $50,000 for this car because of all the bits and pieces, but it makes it a nice car. So we'll look at some of those package stuff, and then we'll take it for a spin. And as I said before, I'll try and capture some of the great sound that this car makes, because I think that's part of what makes this car special. So yeah, certainly for those of you that are a little torn between getting a 3 or 4 series or the little 2 series here with the M package, hopefully this video will be useful to you, because it really does show what a great little car this is. You know, it's not perfect, but I really think that people overlook how many optional extras you get, how many neat extras you get with this car that you don't get on a regular 3 or 4 series. So on with the review. We'll go take a look around the outside of the car. Okay, so let's take a look around the outside. This is an Alpine white car, and the first thing I'll point out is that those are not standard wheels. He's put winter wheels on, so those are 17-inch with winter wheels. Normally this would have a 18-inch alloys on it, so they would look a little better. So ignore the wheels for now. Not that it looks too bad, you know, black wheels always look good against white. Otherwise, all I've got to say about the outside styling is, as I said before, I quite like the front. In fact, I prefer the front styling to the styling of the 3 and 4 series. I just prefer the way the headlights look. The back, I don't know. I actually prefer the 3 and 4 series back more than the 2 series, but it's fine the way it is. You know, it's a sharp looking little car. It's obvious that it's a little smaller than a 3 or 4 series, but as I said before, I quite like a smaller car. So yeah, good looking car on the outside. Okay, let's pull over here and we'll have a look around the interior. Okay, stop right there. Okay, so this car has Terra Dakota leather, which is this brown leather. And I've never been a big fan of brown, but it actually works in this car. What is curious is that because it's the M, it gets a few other little odd touches. What I'm talking about is this blue mark along the edge here, which struck me as soon as I got in the car. It doesn't look that bad. I mean, it fits in with the blue of the M and a few other blue bits and pieces, but you would have thought that they would have made that black or white like the exterior. But otherwise, the other thing that strikes me immediately is the steering wheel. Turn that on. It's a steering wheel. It's an M steering wheel, the lovely M steering wheel, and that is another big reason why the 235M is such a nice car. Because I don't know, I really don't like the standard steering wheel that you get on the 3 and 4 series. It's got that hard leather, and it's a small steering wheel. It's functional, but it's once you've used an M series wheel, going back to a regular 3 or 4 series wheel is pretty ropey. But yeah, so the M series wheel. Otherwise, the interior, you know, as I said before, the thing that strikes me is that it's a little smaller in here, and for me personally, that's a good thing. I like the size of this car. Otherwise, it's pretty standard BMW fare in here. The other thing you'll notice is that it's got a reduced cluster gauge. You normally have separate gauges for temperature and fuel, but this one's got the more compact gauge you see on the smaller BMWs. The center stack is much the same, standard BMW. This is a manual. This is a lovely manual. I'll talk more about the manual when I take it for a spin on the highway. It really is a beautiful manual. But otherwise, yeah, it's got the aluminium trim and the leather. The leather is the standard sort of harder leather that you'd get on the non-Ms. It's fine. It's hard wearing, and as I said, the color's nice. But yeah, so other than that, the interior. So in the back is where you see the difference between a 3 or 4 series and a 2 series. That 5 inches shorter the car is, you lose a little bit of trunk space, but you lose quite a bit of space in the rear. As you can see back there, the gorillas are back there, and if I pull the seat forward, even with the seat in its regular position, there isn't a lot of leg room back there. I mean, it's usable, but I guess that's the biggest drawback of getting a 2 over a 3 or a 4, is that you do lose leg room in the rear seats. The front is fine, but the rear starts to get a little tight. It's still usable, but it's a little tight. You guys all right back there? So yeah, the interior is nice. You know, he's got the premium package, which gives you the auto dimming rear mirrors, the keyless entry, the satellite radio, and of course full leather, garage door opener, which in my car is up here. On this one it is as well, up on this mirror. You can program these for your garage door. He's got the cold weather package, which gives you the heated seats, the squirters on the front headlights to clear away snow, and a heated steering wheel. The heated steering wheel is normally down here. Let's have a look. There it is. Heated steering wheel button. He also has the technology package, which gives the lovely satellite navigation, which also includes, which on the BMWs is nice. You can split the screen, so you can have navigation on one and other details on the other. In this case, he's got the stereo on here. I do it the other way around. I have the navigation over here and the stereo over here in my car. The real-time traffic information, which is one of the best in the business. The real-time traffic information on BMWs is phenomenal. It's always accurate. It's always warning me of what's coming up ahead. Instrument cluster with extended contents. What that means is this whole area here is digital, and you can make that, you can configure that as you see fit. He's got it with the economy gauge on there, and the BMW apps, which I've never really had much use for. So yeah, he's configured this nicely. The other thing I've noticed, he's got the Harman Kardon radio. It's a little less in the 2 Series. In the 3 and 4 Series you get the big speakers in the back. In the 2 Series you mostly get speakers in the front. But just like in the 3 and 4 Series, the Harman Kardon is a very nice stereo. It's I really think they've done a great job with these stereos. So that's the interior. You know, it's a nice place to be. You're really not losing out on much by getting a 2 Series when it comes to the interior. It's certainly a nice place, and as I said, I love having the M steering wheel. It's one of my favourite parts of this car. Okay, so let's take it for a spin. Okay, finally, the best bit of the review is taking it for a spin on the highway. And what I've done is I'd really like to capture the sound at the back of the car. So I've stuck a sound recording device in one of my socks, and then I'm going to hang it off the back of the car here, and hopefully that will give us some of the sound you hear. And even just driving down this road here, once I back off the gas, you should be able to hear some of the burble that comes from that exhaust system, which I like so much. So I'll come up here and I'll back off the gas and I'll try and mix that sound in. But yeah, we're going to jump up the highway entrance here and floor it. So right away you do notice a little more power than you get in the 335 or the 435, because it is more powerful and is a little lighter. So it's a little zippier, ready to go. This car has the manual transmission, and I really like it. You know, BMWs, in my experience at least, have had some good ones and some bad ones. Manual transmission's always been a little hit and miss. I've certainly driven BMWs, particularly the E36s and the E46s, that have not always, but sometimes had pretty ropey manual transmissions, and it's because of the clutch. It's often the clutch has been the trick, whereas this car's clutch is silky smooth. It is the same pressure all the way up and down, and when I got into the car and drove it for the very first time, I had no trouble. I was able to get through the first, second, third gears, no problem at all. the first gear is high enough that it's easy to get between first and second without having to learn where you're going to match those revs. So yeah, really a very, very nice manual transmission. The only caveat I'd put on that is that the gear throws are still quite long. I'd like a shorter throw on the stick, but you know, it's the clutch and the way that it solidly clicks into each gear. Nice notchy feel to it. Very, very nice manual transmission. As for the engine and the sound of the engine, very impressed. Very nice sound, very nice torque curve. You know, you get a little bit, you feel the torque coming in just over 2,000 revs there, like you do in any of these 3-litre turbocharged engines of BMW. But yeah, it's such a lovely car to drive. And this car, because it's the M package, gets the better suspension, so the handling is excellent. You know, I feel very comfortable sort of zipping through traffic. Yeah, very, very nice car to drive. Very enjoyable highway cruiser, and I was giving a little bit of a run through some curvy roads before, which I unfortunately didn't film. And yeah, it was handling very nice. It's a very fun car to drive. There's no question about it. So yeah, I am very impressed with this M235i. I would certainly, if I was looking at a car in the 45,000 range, this would certainly be a car I'd be seriously considering, over and above even the other BMWs in this price range. Mostly because, you know, you get so much more for the same amount of money with this 2 Series. Okay, to sum up, what a great car. Really, really, what a great car. Handles so well, it's got plenty of power, is the size I like. I'm struggling to find any negatives to this car. Maybe I think people would still see the 3 or 4 Series as maybe a little more prestigious than the 2 Series. And I think that probably what holds it back. But for those of you that think that a 3 or 4 Series is better value for money than the 2 Series, I disagree. This car gets you so many more toys and is so much more fun to drive because it's a little lighter, a little more powerful, a little better handling, better steering wheel. This is a better car than a base Series 3 or 4 Series as far as I'm concerned. You do lose out a little bit of space in the rear seats, but small price to pay for such a fun car to drive. And once again, the manual is sublime, just beautiful. I'm really loving driving the manual in this car. So yeah, thanks once again, Boris, for loaning me your car for the day to drive. I've been very, very impressed. And yeah, any of you out there looking in this 45 to 50 bracket, do take the M235i for a spin. It really is a lovely car. So thanks for watching, everybody, and I'll see you in my next video.